Welcome to Heartful Conversations podcast. We are here to inspire you, to sparkle some joy and hope, maybe bring some smiles as well. Now slow down and enjoy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Heartful Conversation podcast. I am here with my friends, Marius and Richard, and today our topic is actually about friendship, about noble friendship, and about how friendship contributes to more joy and happiness in our lives. You know, a while ago, I read this beautiful story about how in the Celtic tradition there's this beautiful understanding of friendship. And one of the ideas there is this idea of soul love, which is called in the Old Gaelic, the term is anamkara. And I love the whole story about it. I love these, old stories in different traditions and cultures. And it says that anam is the Gaelic word for soul, and kara is the word for friend. So anam kara together is the Celtic word that was the soul friend. And in this friendship, what is beautiful is that you are seen and you are understood without any masks or pretension. There's no superficiality or half truths of social acquaintance or anything else that might come in between your friendship. And on the other hand, this anamkara requires you to have this purposeful presence. It asks you to show up with absolute integrity of intention. And this is a book, Anamkara is a book written by a beautiful poet and philosopher named John O'Donoghue. He's an Irish poet. And I really wanted to read the whole book, so I'm looking for it on the internet these days to buy it and read it, because it has such beautiful interpretation of friendship, and it goes a bit beyond the term that maybe nowadays we use sometimes maybe too fast to name someone our friend, or sometimes not really seeing that someone close to us is actually a dear friend that's always been there helping us going through difficult times. So today we are exploring this topic together, and I'm really happy that I'm getting to have this talk with you guys, because you two are both dear friends. And I would start off with asking you, the both of you, what does friendship feel like to you? And more than that, what would a noble friendship feel like? Is there a difference? Does noble mean something different, something deeper? Let's see. Let's explore together. Welcome, Marius and Richard.
Hello to all listeners of the podcast.
Hello, everybody. First of all, Lila, please don't classify me as your friend, even noble friend. I'm only doing this because I have to do the podcast. Otherwise, let's just stick it to professional relationship, please.
Yes, of course. I'm so sorry I went into that. It won't happen again, Richard, I promise.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Marius.
It's funny you should ask, because maybe we can share with the listeners how this podcast came to be. In our research for a topic to explore, Lila asked me and Richard to give some possible topics, and after Richard gave a few, out of the blue, I came up with the idea of noble friendships, and Lila just minutes later said, "Whoa, are you for real?" And I said, "Yes, why?" Because I was just reading, I was in my car reading this article about noble friendships just now. So it just clicked. Because noble friendships, it seems these days to be on a lot of people's minds. And when I'm thinking of noble friendships, and since you've started with the great culture, the Celtic culture and its traditions, I'm thinking also of a story where people of an African tribe, at the person's birth, the women of the village go out in the desert and spend a couple of days in retreat and come up with a song, and that is the song that's unique to that person that has been just born, and it's they sing it at their birth, and they're singing it at every important moment in their life. But most of all, the friends of that person, the friends that are around that person in that community, sing that song to that person when they are facing a difficult time. So they're not giving advice on life. They're not fixing. They're not trying to come up with solutions. All they're doing is remembering that person, that they have a song, and what that song means to them. It's very personal. It's very unique, but it's reminding them of who they are. So when I also think about noble friendship, is I think about uh, the people that make me want to be a better person, but don't leave me wanting, don't leave me lacking, don't leave me with a sense of I'm not good enough. So they encourage me to be the best possible version of myself without let's say, pushing me in that direction, but rather following me and encouraging me along the way on the journey. So this is why noble friendships came to mind, because it seems that it's really very precious these days to have someone to rely on, to have someone to talk to have someone to meet and hug, which is more increasingly difficult these days as we stay away from other people as much as we can because of the pandemic. So one of the things that the pandemic brought out is this need for human connection, for human touch, for human voice, for all the things that maybe in the past we took for granted. And yeah, I'm curious to explore together what else comes up when we discuss noble friendships.
That was very touching, especially with the African song. I mean, that it's maybe our friends are there to to remind us of our better nature, of our goodness. That maybe a mirror singing the song and saying, "Hey, I know you, I see you." Maybe not in words, maybe with a simple gesture, but in some ways, maybe our friends are there to be an anchor to us and remind us that, who we are. And I think our great friendships are the ones that see the good in us. If I think of the people who are the most meaningful in my life, it's those that look into my eyes and I feel their love. I feel them seeing me in a positive way, and through difficulty or challenges, that's medicine to my heart, And so, and as you said, Marius, I mean, it's so rare in today's world. I mean, you have all these Facebook friends, and I think in so many ways with technology, we're even more and more isolated than ever before. And so, well, my father once said that, you're lucky man if at the end of your life you can count your true friends on one hand. And I was always curious what makes some people connect for a lifetime. For a whole lifetime. What is real deep friendships? I mean, I've seen friendships for me that I've been completely opposite with, or unlikely pairs, and then others who I share deeply in the same values. And it's a very interesting question of what makes certain people connect. You meet so many people in your life, you brush through life, touching, thousands of people. And what is it that there's just a handful that you can truly say, yeah, like we've met before. Like we must have had multiple. I don't know if I believe in an afterlife in terms of, reincarnation, but I think in some ways, one evidence of reincarnation for me is that I see people that I feel like I've known them for more than maybe just meeting them for the first time. And what is that when you meet somebody like, God, I feel like I know you, and then somehow it connects for a lifetime, So yeah, I don't know the answer to the question. I just know that I've been looking for it my whole life. I mean, even as a young child, looking at my parents talking, and sometimes you see the social friendships, the cultural friendships of social climbing and gossip and talking and people asking about the weather. And I'm a bit of an introvert, so for me, all that kind of friendship just tires me and exhausts me, and it's like kind of like always longing for a meaningful connection, and all the rest seemed very unnecessary for me. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you, guys. You reminded me, as you both shared about long life friendships. One of my best friends is far away from me now because she lives in another country. But we met when we were 5 years old. We were at a birthday party of a common friend. We didn't know each other back then, but our mothers were talking to each other, and they found out that we were both born the same day and the same year. And so my friend heard that talk between our mothers, and she came to me and said, is it true that you are born on this day? And I said, yes. And we just looked at each other, and it's sort of like that thing that you're mentioning about, Richard, that it's, there's no actual explanation for it. It wasn't like we got to share our lives by then, or, engaged in some playfulness, or did something together that sparkled that, joy, and saw that we have this in common. We did have in common the fact that we were born the same day and same year. But it was that split of a second, and we've been inseparable ever since in our hearts, because in time, 30 plus years after now, we are not close one to another. But it is that kind of kinship and friendship where you know that if in the middle of the night something's wrong, or you need help with something, or you just need to talk to someone, they will be there no matter what. And it's unquestionable. It's one of those feelings that bring so much stability. It feels like an anchor to me. These kinds of friendship are that anchor that not only put trust in the actual person that you can see and touch and hug and embrace, but put trust in life itself, because you experience a sense of connection that feels beyond what many times we call, existence and day-to-day things that we go through. It just goes beyond, and it goes to show that there's this invisible thread that, even though we don't see each other for years, or we barely get to talk to each other, now we have families and kids, and it's not like in the 5th grade when we were classmates and sitting next to another and sharing our everything, and having, we had this cute little journal that we would give one to another from time to time, and we would write something down. We had our own secret alphabet, so that nobody else would understand what we were writing. And so I would get to have it for a while, and then I would write there, and then I would give it to her, and we kept doing this back and forth. And then in time, when you don't get to share these little beautiful, amazing, touching things between one another, when there's distance, when there's so many other things that come on top of you, life, you realize that nothing has changed there, even though you don't get to experience that connection so vividly. It's still there, and that's something that brings a mysterious yet such grounding joy to know you have that in your life. So to me, it goes deeper in that sense of trusting life when you have such deeper connection. And yeah.
Yeah, I also wondered about what is this mystery, and for me, when I think of noble friendships, and when I remember instances in life where I I've been in the company of noble friends. For me, it was, I think it's now looking back on the situation, it's two things that um, allowed me to realize that it's something really special. One is the sense of I have arrived. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I don't have to be anywhere else. This is near this person, in this person's presence, or together we create a sense of we are here now. I don't need to be somebody else. I don't need to do something. Don't need to prove myself. I don't need to demonstrate anything to anybody. I'm in the presence of someone who really takes me as I am. So I have arrived. So this is one sense. And the second is I've always found that in the presence of noble friends, I'm gently challenged. So I'm both feeling safe and secure in their presence, but I'm also pushed gently out of my status quo, out of my fixed habit of mind, out of my um, uh, mindsets. So I'm gently encouraged to explore, to go a little bit beyond what I know and what I'm used to do, what I'm used to say, and explore new territory, because I have someone at my back or at my side who gives me a sense of safety and caring and strength even. So I part of this mystery for me is that sense of safety and care, but also it's a gentle support, encouragement, strength to go and explore more than what I'm used to, more than the place I'm at, to finally arrive home, because we don't discover anything new. We're just discovering who we really are. So yeah, this is my take on how it feels like to be in the presence of noble friends.
Yeah, that's a huge one, Marius. Good that you brought it up. I mean, I think as a kid growing up, I'm thinking of memories as a teenager, or a younger adult. It always felt kind of like subtle performance, like you're not actually showing who you are. I remember clearly in college, at one point I invited all my friends over and we were having a party. I wanted everything to go well. Was the music okay? Was the drinks there? And there was a bit of that wasn't fake, but it was a performance, as if I couldn't just let my guard down. And I think a lot of friendships, the true friendships are the ones that I really feel, as you said, Marius, is where you can just be who you are. There's no performance. There's no, you can do the small talk, but it's just, you're just being who you are. And I think that's the greatest gift you can give another person. And I think in many ways, when I'm talking to, my noble friends or vice versa, when they're talking to me, it's almost like this, silent vibration of, I love you, man. I care about you. Whether it's a male with a male or a female with a male, or even if it's not a romantic thing, it's just, I care for you deeply. And it's just, I hear you and you're there. And that's what I sense when I feel of a noble friendship, where I can just be myself, true authenticity. And I think you have more meaningful conversations there. And you're right. Again, I'm just adding on from what you say. True friendship also questions your held beliefs, because as a mindful, let's say, meditator my whole life, you can sit on a cushion and feel enlightened and feel great. And then, just go spend a few days with your family or friends, and suddenly you realize how fallen you are and how triggered you get. And I think it's your friends, your true friends, that, really are there to say, hey, test your assumptions. And I think you're more open and more receptive to listening to them, and they know you better than anyone else. So yeah, you're definitely right. Friendships are a role of deep acceptance and love, and yet there to test your assumptions and help you through misconceptions that you might have. And it's always great because friendships can always give you that sort of outside perspective of things that really help you to see things from outside of your embedded, emotional, sometimes very heated situation that you might be in your life. And a true friend can see from the outside things that maybe you can't see in that moment.
Yes, indeed. I was thinking as going back to these stories of friendship from when we were children, that why is it that it comes so much easier? And I see it, with my son, or in our school when I was teaching, how simple it is with kids. The other day I was with my son in the park, and there's this kid that comes from nowhere and just pops up in front of him and is like, hey, my name is Tudor, do you want to be my friend? And it's, yeah, okay, let's go. And they go play. And yeah, I know, in the adult world, it doesn't work like this, and it doesn't mean that that's going to be a meaningful and long-lasting friendship. But nonetheless, there's less of those filters of sort of judgment or fear of being judged, or so many other things that, intervene in our adult life. And I was looking at myself these last few years, and if I were to analyze it, sort of, is it a time when you stop, like you become an adult at a certain age, that you don't form new friendships? Like you have your friends, like Richard, you were mentioning, you can count them on your hand maybe, and there's no interest, or there's no context that you form new friendships. It sort of feels from one point that there's no need for other friends, or what is it that happens? Because when we were kids, and I remember this in my childhood as well, it was so easy to make friends. And in my life, I was lucky enough to keep such friendships for many, many years. Most of my friends are from the times when I was in school, or when I was in high school, and they're there. But what happens now when we are 30, 40, 50? Do we form new friendships? I look at my parents, they have the same friends. They don't, my mom doesn't come to me and says, look, I went to the grocery shop today, and I met this person, and then we kept talking over the weeks, and we're best friends now. We're going out to have some tea. So is it something about that that happens over time, that we don't form new friendships? We're comfortable with the ones we have. And what does it take actually to form new friendships? What do you guys think?
Well, one possible interpretation is that as a child growing up, the child, there's nothing between a child and the reality, the universe. They don't have an I, a me, that separates them from whatever is out there. So their whole world is their friends, their whole world is their family, their whole world is whatever they are exposed to in the moment. So for them, growing up, it's um, opening up to everything that is out there. And as we grow up, and I can see this in myself as well, as I grow up, the sense of me being separate from whatever is out there, from the other people, from my family, from my friends, from my relatives, I get a sense of me. This is me. This is Marius, and Marius likes this, and Marius doesn't like that, and Marius likes these people, and he prefers these activities. And there's a solidification that you become a distinct part of the world. And this is not to go against the fact that we need to become ourselves, to explore this unique aspect of how life came about to be in ourselves. So we are all, in a way, very unique in how we manifest in the world with the gifts we have to offer in this world. And that's okay, and it's perfectly okay to feel separate in a way from whatever is out there. But on the other hand, we also have this unique ability to connect with what's out there, to connect with other people, to connect with nature, to connect with our passion. And this dissolves the barrier between us and everything else. So for me, it's rather a question of, okay, when is it important that I be myself, and I can think for myself, and I can have my own opinions, and I can pursue my own passions. Okay, and when is it time, and how do I do so that I reach out to other people? I see other people's joy and suffering. I get myself immersed in other people's, let's say, plans or activities and so on. So how do I drop the sense of separateness and disconnectedness? And how do I reach out and connect and be there for other people? So I think it's this interplay between self and me and we, as Nipun said, it's more of this getting a sense of when it's important to be the me, when it's important to be the we, and at one point dropping the whole agenda and just being, so this is a possible interpretation from me.
I think in today's world also, it's just the environment doesn't let us to open up to other opportunities. I mean, if you think thousands of years ago, I mean, there was a tribe, there was a village, there was a community. It was we. It was a matter of survival. I mean, there was a higher likelihood of survival if we hunt together, if we raise our kids together, if we're building together. I mean, it was a necessity. And obviously that created more opportunities for deep connection, especially when it's survival and when you have a lot to lose and difficult times come and you're in that with somebody else. I'll never forget two people in my life. One was my professor, Dr. Treidel, who was in the Vietnam War. And he was saying, I don't know how it came up about torture. And he said, look, I'd rather be tortured by the Viet Cong by being whipped or by being hit or by being cut or whatever. The worst torment that I ever had was when I was put in isolation away from my comrades or from the people, my soldiers, my fellow soldiers, because that's what kept me sane. And my uncle Bill, who fought in World War I, he said, I remember him showing me old pictures when I was really young. He said, you don't fight for bravery or I wasn't fighting against the Germans or the Huns or whatever. I was fighting for the guy next to me, and the bond I built with them through danger and struggle, I kept that friendship forever, and I'm closer to them than even my own family. But in today's world, we're just it's all about the I, it's all about me. We are the main character of our movie, and there is no village, there is no tribe. I mean, we get in our little metallic cars and we drive to work. And then now we don't even drive to work. We drive back to our houses, our cement houses. And it's like almost physically we're isolated. And then on top of that, you add the fact that the phones and the iPads, and we're just like consuming this sort of garbage constantly. And then our minds become fixated in just superficial things, and hours go by and days go by. But our hearts, our souls are just longing for this connection. And I see it when we go to retreats or when we organize our own retreats, how when you put people together for a few days to talk intimately, they long for it. Their hearts are it's music to their ears and to their hearts. And we all need it. And we all need to feel that aliveness and that connection. I mean, we're social beings. I mean, if you look at chimpanzees or other, it's not just humans. You see it in animals too. And it's a biological need. I mean, lifespan, they say that people who don't have, higher social circles of friends and people and family, they don't live as long. I mean, you live longer when you're connected with people. You have lower blood pressure. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Or if you've heard the common thing when two people are married, and that's like the long standing friendship of all of a lifetime of marriage. And when one of the people die in the marriage, within 3-4 years, statistically, the next person dies. So it's like there's also something connecting us deeply in a DNA, in our tissue, in our hearts. So I think it's also we have to work harder to connect because of the modern world we live in, and how just physicality we're more isolated, especially now with COVID. So yeah, it can be a very isolating place to live today, and we need these noble friends more than ever. I mean, I think we're starving for them. We're hungry ghosts, just consuming, McDonald's cheeseburgers and junk food. And when we really need is this nutrients and vitamins and true, soul food of the noble kind.
That's beautiful, said Richard. Thank you, guys. I feel that especially these few months, well, they're not few anymore. We've been close to a year into this pandemic, and we referred to it, especially I've noticed during everything we're doing lately and what many people are doing, we're referring to this period of time as a time when a lot of valuable things came to surface, and we're maybe more willing to look into them. And what I've noticed is that while we're trying, and I've tried in my own life, when I realized that there are maybe layers of things that I took on top of me because of my childhood, of my experiences, things that I did not really relate to and I did not feel part of me. And I wanted to go through my own process of truly looking at who I am. You get into all of these practices and all of these wise encouragements to follow this or that path, and they're beautiful and they're useful and they've helped me. But on the other hand, what sometimes feels like taking a leap of faith when you are truly open and vulnerable to another human being was something that opened probably my heart more than any of these practices. And it felt that these types of connections and friendships are one of the most beautiful and gentle and long-lasting tools that we can use to truly put that mirror in a more gentle way. Because I do feel that these types of noble friends are just mirrors. And sometimes it's hard to look at that mirror. Sometimes it may come out with anger or disappointment, but that's why it's kind of like a constant process of forgiveness as well, because in that process, because it's a mirror, you start also forgiving yourself for things that maybe you were too harsh. So it's a beautiful dance, and it's a way to be more in contact with yourself. this is what it felt like for me. It wasn't just the joy of knowing there's somebody there that's always there and can listen to you and can give you comfort, but it put me into a process of being more aware of who I am and being more curious, and going back and forth and looking at those things. Because if you're talking about long life friendships, it doesn't just come and disappear. It's always there. And sometimes we need to revisit certain beliefs more than once to truly go deeper and understand it, or even let it go if it's not useful anymore. So to me, such friendships are one of these beautiful ways of getting to know yourself more and to be more of yourself out there in the world. That's why it feels like such a blessing, and it comes with a lot of warmth and gratitude in my heart, because it has truly helped me grow. All right. Well, seems like when we talk about friendship, time flies by. And
I would like to add two more things before we wrap it up. One thing I remember was I was asked to do a 30-day challenge, a gratefulness challenge, where every day I had to have a journal and write things that I was grateful for. And one of the challenges was to call my old friends up, anyone I could. I had to come up with 10 names or something. I remember the number. And just, searching online to find out who they were, where they living now, who, what country, because, I had friends from all over the world that I was, growing up in a high school that had many international kids. So I had to track them down around the world. And it felt so elating. I felt so elated, and my body relaxed. And I remember getting off these phone calls and feeling so good after connecting with old friends. So one way to cultivate this noble friendship. I mean, how do we move forward from this podcast onwards? And it's like, call up those old friends. Revisit them, say hi, reconnect. I always think that's a beautiful gratefulness practice to do, and say, hey, I remember you, remember this, remember that. And I think that's a beautiful, energetic thing to do. And the last thing I would say is, one of the big aha moments for me when I was young was because I felt, maybe as we all do, that, I'm not good enough, or I'm so nervous now in front of this person, whether it's in an elevator or in an office, or whether you're at a bar or whatever, and you're feeling nervous, you get butterflies in your stomach, maybe, especially when I was a young kid. And I'm not good enough. What am I going to say? What are they going to think? And my big aha moment came when I realized, I remember this one specific time with this one person I thought was so amazing, so smart, so whatever. And I realized he was just as nervous as I was, or even more so than I was. And I always keep that in my mind, that people are probably more nervous or feeling more worthless, or they're not good enough. And in so many ways, when I have that in my mind, I realize, well, drop those limiting beliefs, that your doubts, your unworthiness. And I think that holds us back from truly opening up and being like Lila, your son, who can just be open. Or because our kids, that's why I love working with kids, because they're so open. They're so they have no limitations or self-consciousness of themselves, that I'm not good enough. When they're young, still not in their teenage years, really being analytical or just self-judgmental on themselves. That's one reason why we make these deep connections, is because there's that openness, that receptivity. And I think in so many ways that holds us back when we're meeting new people. And just to remember that they're probably just as uncomfortable or feeling unworthy as the next.
Yes, actually, I think we that's where we meet, in those moments of unworthiness. Because if we are brave enough to open up, we meet in that vulnerable place that makes it even more relevant, because it's easy when it's joyful, right? It's easy to connect in those moments of joy and happiness, and probably, what they call, I wouldn't use that term normally, but those tests of friendship is when things are not so easy, or there's conflict, or there's suffering, and you are still willing to meet in that place where it's hard to stay long enough, where it feels uncomfortable, where it feels like truly a leap of faith to look into each other's eyes and see beyond what's going on in that moment. And so in my experience, when those moments came, it was that sense of I can stay here and it feels safe. So like Marius said in the beginning, I think it does come with that sense of safety, even when maybe bigger emotions arise in the room, and we might easily judge them, or not feel comfortable enough to stay with them.
I would only add that noble friendships is made of noble moments, and we can even drop the word noble, and it's made of moments. And the fact that we are all so deeply connected, that we are all in this together, in everything that happens, we are in together with other people, makes everything that we do or say matter. So it's not only about the friends we have, it's about our impact on other people. And I remember when I think about the people influencing my life, I'm not only thinking of them as an image of saints, and however it's little moments that made the difference. And this takes me back to what you guys said about showing up for our own lives, and showing up for the moments that are present in everyday life. So showing up for the things you do, for your child, for your father, for your mother, really being there and allowing yourselves to be touched, and trusting that you and we can make a difference for the people we meet in ways that we cannot even imagine. So the tone of voice, the words we use, the actions we do, they all matter in ways that we cannot anticipate. So thank you for bringing this idea of openness and vulnerability, because indeed it takes courage to show up and to be there for yourself, to not let yourself be down, so to be your own friend first, and showing up for other people. So being friend for yourself, being a good friend to yourself, means that you have the resources to be there for other people when they need it.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Marius. I will leave you guys with something I read and I liked it. It's sort of like a definition of friendship, but it touched my heart. It's something that an English poet this time, David White, said. He says, friendship is a mirror to presence and a testament to forgiveness. Friendship not only helps us see ourselves through another's eyes, but can be sustained over the years only with someone who has repeatedly forgiven us for our trespasses, as we must find it in ourselves to forgive them in turn. A friend knows our difficulties and shadows and remains in sight, a companion to our vulnerabilities more than our triumphs. When we are under the strange illusion, we do not need them. An undercurrent of real friendship is a blessing exactly because its elemental form is rediscovered again and again through understanding and mercy. All friendships of any length are based on a continued mutual forgiveness. Without tolerance and mercy, all friendships die. I really like this quote. And I thank you guys for joining this talk on friendship. we will end with a short practice that I will guide, and hoping that this will go out there to people who maybe need these days to reconnect with a dear friend, who maybe need to forgive a friend, who need to hug a friend, even if virtually, or simply be more friends with themselves and be more accepting of who they are, and remembering the stories of friendship in their life. They feel more joy and warmth in these sometimes challenging times that we live now. So thank you guys for
Thank you.
joining me.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the dog in the background also. That's been very, very helpful in the conversation. Please give him a bone for him too. Yeah,
Man's best friend.
Well, we are in the same situation, aren't we? We are three friends and we cannot meet and do this together. So then this comes with these challenges, with everybody being in their home and having to find the space and the time to do this. And it comes with the dog barking, with the kid jumping in the room, and all sorts of things. But we see ourselves for who we truly are, don't we?
Exactly. Friendship through everything, through dogs barking and COVID.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
This is a guided compassion practice from Jack Kornfield's book, No Time Like the Present. So we start by allowing ourselves to sit comfortably in a centered and quiet way. We use our breath to find our center, to feel our bodies. Breathing in through our nose and out slowly through our mouth. Feel your heartbeat and the life within you. Feel how you treasure your own life, how you guard yourself in the face of dangers and sorrows. Now bring to mind someone close to you, whom you dearly love. Picture them and feel your natural caring for them. Notice how kindly you hold them. And then let yourself become aware of their struggles and fears, their troubles, their measure of sorrows, the suffering in their life, as in all human life. Feel how your heart naturally opens to wish them well, to extend comfort, to acknowledge their pain and meet it with compassion. This is the spontaneous response of the heart. As you picture them, inwardly recite these phrases. May you be held in compassion. May your pain and sorrow be eased. May you be at peace. Let the feeling of compassion grow. Now imagine that this loved one is gazing back at you. Their eyes fill with the same spirit of compassion for your fears and troubles, your measure of sorrow and pain. And see them as they recite to you in return. May you too be held in compassion. May your pain and sorrow be eased. May you be at peace. Take in their compassion and care. and offer this same compassion to yourself. Hold your fears and troubles, suffering and pain in compassion. If you wish, put your hand on your heart and then recite the same phrases for a few moments. May I hold myself in compassion. May my pain and sorrow be eased. May I be at peace. Then, after a time, you can begin to extend compassion to others you know. Picture loved ones, one after another. Hold the image of each of them in your heart. Be aware of their difficulties and wish them well. Next, you can open your compassion further, a step at a time, to the suffering of your friends, to your neighbors, to your community. You can gradually extend your compassion to all who suffer, even difficult people, your enemies, and finally to the brotherhood and sisterhood of all beings. Sense your tender-hearted connection with all life and its creatures. It might feel difficult. You might be afraid of being overwhelmed by the pain. But we are not trying to fix the pain of the world, only to meet it with a compassionate heart. Bring back your attention to your body. Relax and be gentle. Breathe in and out. Let your breath and heart rest naturally as a center of great compassion in the midst of the world. You can slowly open your eyes now.